Things are actually a lot more dire than I realized. When I made that video about old Warframe, I jumped the gun. I had only tested one version at that point, version 7.3, and I hadn't bothered to check out any of the other versions I recommended. I just threw out the numbers because I thought they'd be good versions to check out. I was wrong, for a few reasons. First off, I do not recommend updates 9 to 14. In those versions of Warframe, abilities are still tied to mods, which means that you can't use your abilities unless you find the mod for them, since SpaceNinjaServer does not give you the ability mods when you acquire the Warframe. If you want to experience that weird beta 1.7.3 version of Warframe, play update 15.14 Eyes of Blight. Is what I would say if that version also didn't have its own problems. Though at this point, the fault isn't with the eccentricities of old Warframe, but with SpaceNinjaServer itself. Let me show you. The game is now soft-locked. I can't do anything now. I need to close the game. This is the main problem I came across in testing. As it turns out, SpaceNinjaServer isn't really about preserving old versions of Warframe. It's a server emulator for modern Warframe. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, and it is cool that a program like this exists, just, I don't know, I guess I was expecting a more flawless experience. This means that if I wanted to experience this version of the game, whenever I wanted to buy a new weapon, I would have to run a command to just give it to me, or at least give me the blueprint, and that just doesn't feel good. That's the one thing I really like with WF Classic. You can just go to the market and buy guns, buy blueprints, buy potatoes to shove into your things. All of the important functions work that make the game feel like a game and less like a developer interface. It's disappointing, you know? Also, that means that there's a solid year or two of Warframe development history that's just not playable. At least to the full extent that you would expect the game to work, and that sucks because it's the most important years of Warframe development that SpaceNinjaServer doesn't support. The transformation from classic Warframe to the Warframe that we know and love today. Additions like Damage 2.0, Parkour 2.0, the Void Key system and eventually Relics, abilities on Level Up, iconic reworks like the ones for Excalibur and Ember, the addition of the Orbiter, and going from the node map to the planet rings to the star chart. Warframe changed so much during those years, it's a damn shame that all we know about it are wiki entries and patch notes. We have access to those versions of the game, it's just the server emulators don't work, at least not where it counts. There's so much here that makes for interesting trivia. Did you know that Update 14 introduced Vor's Prize as the new tutorial for the game? And the weapon selection you had during that quest was insane. If you wanted, you could start with a Mark 1 Strun, Mark 1 Furus, and Mark 1 Furax for your starting weapons. And it only lasted for one update. In Update 15, they changed it to the selection we have today. So, yeah. To make a long video short, if you're going to check out SpaceNinjaServer, stick to versions past Update 14. The newer the better. And don't be afraid to use cheats. If you want to play version 7 or 8, use ClassicWF. Here's hoping that the devs of SpaceNinjaServer throw us a bone and update compatibility for older versions.